Не учим, а практикуем. Играем в английский от души. Свободный и мощный тренажер Окси Инглишбот в Telegram.
Я уже рассказал вам о фермерстве.
I have already told you about farming.
И о сложностях, с которыми я делал свою работу.
And of the difficulties under which I did my work.
Вещь, которую я хотел сделать больше всего, сделать хороший хлеб.
The thing which I wished to do most of all, to make good bread.
Я испробовал много планов, но прошло несколько лет.
I tried many plans, but it was several years.
Прежде чем я мог думать о себе как о действительно хорошем пекаре.
Before I could think of myself as a really good baker.
Мой ячмень был очень хорош.
My barley was very fine.
Зерна были большими и гладкими.
The grains were large and smooth.
При варке в течение долгого времени с куском козьего мяса.
When boiled a long time with a bit of goat's meat.
Они составляли хорошую еду.
They made good food.
Но они не заменяли хлеба.
But they did not take the place of bread.
Прежде чем хлеб может быть сделан, зерна ячменя должны быть помолоты в муку.
Before bread could be made, the grains of barley must be ground into meal.
Я пытался растирать их камнем.
I tried pounding them with a stone.
Но то была медленная работа.
But that was slow work.
Камень рассыпался в песок.
The stone crumbled into sand.
Такая еда не стоила ничего.
My meal was worth nothing.
Я обыскал весь остров в поисках более твердого камня.
I looked all over the island for a harder stone.
Все были одинаковыми.
All were alike.
В конце концов я срезал большой кусок очень крепкой древесины.
So at last I cut a large block of very hard wood.
Я закруглил его снаружи топориком.
I rounded it on the outside with my hatchet.
Затем частично рубкой,
Then, partly by chopping.
частично выжиганием,
Partly by burning.
я сделал полость на его конце.
I made a hollow place in the end of it.
Из куска железного дерева
Out of a piece of ironwood.
Я сделал тяжелый пестик или колотушку.
I made a heavy pestle or beater.
Теперь у меня была очень хорошая мельница.
I had now a very good little mill.
В короткое время я размолол достаточно ячменя, чтобы сделать муку для большой буханки.
In a short time I had crushed enough barley to make meal for a large loaf.
Было легко сделать тесто.
It was easy to make the dough.
Мне нужно было лишь смешать муку с водой и размять ее руками.
I had only to mix the meal with water and knead it with my hands.
Мне не приходилось думать о дрожжах, чтобы сделать тесто легким.
I must not think of yeast to make the dough light.
Выпекание было основным делом.
The baking part was the main thing.
И самым сложным, чтобы научиться.
And the hardest to learn.
Вначале я клал куски теста в горячие угли.
At first I put my biscuits of dough in the hot ashes.
И оставлял их там, пока не испекутся.
And left them there till they were baked.
Но мне не нравились эти пироги с золой.
But I did not like these ash cakes very well.
Потом я попробовал иной план.
Then I tried another plan.
Я сделал два больших глиняных сосуда.
I made 2 large earthen vessels.
Они были широкими и неглубокими.
They were broad and shallow.
Каждый был около 2 футов в ширину и не более 9 дюймов в глубину.
Each was about 2 feet across and not more than 9 inches deep.
Их я обжег на огне.
These I burned in the fire.
Пока они не стали твердыми, как камни, и красными, как черепица.
Till they were as hard as rocks and as red as tiles.
Я соорудил также очаг перед местом костра.
I made also a hearth before my fireplace.
И выложил его квадратными черепицами моего собственного изготовления.
And paved it with some square tiles of my own making.
Но, возможно, я не должен бы называть их квадратными.
But perhaps I ought not to call them square.
Очаг, когда был завершен, был довольно ровным и гладким.
The hearth, when finished, was quite level and smooth.
Он был таким красивым, как я мог желать.
It was as pretty as I could have wished.
Затем я развел большой огонь из твердой древесины.
Next I built a great fire of hard wood.
Когда дерево прогорело,
When the wood had burned down,
я выгреб горячие угли в мой очаг.
I raked the hot coals out upon my hearth.
Я оставил их там, пока очаг не прогрелся основательно.
I left them there till the hearth was hot through and through.
Куски теста были готовы.
My loaves of dough were all ready.
Я вымел очаг дочисто.
I swept hearth clean.
И затем положил куски на самую горячую его часть.
And then put the loaves down upon the hottest part of it.
Над каждой буханкой я поставил один из больших глиняных сосудов, которые я сделал.
Over each loaf I put one of the large earthen vessels I had made.
Затем я наложил горячие угли поверх каждого сосуда.
Then I heaped hot coals on the top of the vessel.
И вокруг его боков.
And all round the sides of it.
Через короткое время я поднял сосуды и вынул мои буханки.
In a short time I lifted the vessels and took out my loaves.
Они были выпечены так, как лучшая печка в мире выпекла бы их.
They were baked as well as the best oven in the world could have baked them.
Пытаясь вновь и вновь,
By trying and trying again.
я наконец научился печь почти все, что я хотел.
I at last learned to bake almost everything I wanted.
Я пек лепешки и рисовый пудинг, годные для короля.
I baked cakes and rice pudding fit for a king.
Но я не заботился о пирогах.
But I did not care for pies.
Теперь я чувствовал себя удовлетворенным и процветающим.
I now felt quite contented and prosperous.
Ибо разве у меня не было всего, что мне нужно?
For did I not have everything that I needed?
У меня было 2 дома на острове.
I had 2 homes on the island.
Я называл их моими плантациями.
I called them my plantations.
Первым из них был мой крепкий замок под скалой.
The first of these was my strong castle under the rock.
Я расширял его, пока моя пещера не стала содержать много комнат.
I had enlarged it until my cave contained many rooms.
Открывающихся одна в другую.
One opening into another.
Самая большая и самая сухая из них была складская комната.
The largest and driest of these was my storeroom.
Здесь я хранил самые большие из моих глиняных горшков.
Here I kept the largest of my earthen pots.
Здесь были также 14 или 15 больших корзин.
Here also were 14 or 15 big baskets.
Наполненных зерном.
All filled with grain.
Зал был небольшим.
My sitting room was not large.
Но он был сделан для комфорта.
But it was made for comfort.
Что касается стены перед замком,
As for the wall in front of the castle,
это была удивительная вещь.
It was a wonderful thing.
Длинные колья, которые я вбил, все укоренились.
The long stakes which I had driven down had all taken root.
Они выросли, как деревья.
they had grown like trees.
И были сейчас такими большими и такими толстыми, с ветвями, что было сложно видеть между ними.
And were now so big and so thick with branches that it was hard to see between them.
Ни один проходящий мимо
No one passing by
никогда бы не подумал, что там был дом за этим переплетенным рядом деревьев.
would ever think there was a house behind this matted row of trees.
Около этого моего обиталища
Near this dwelling of mine,
только немного дальше вглубь местности,
But a little farther within the land,
были два моих ячменных поля.
Were my 2 barley fields.
Их я возделывал с заботой.
these I cultivated with care,
И с них я получал хороший урожай.
and from them I reaped a good harvest.
Как только я чувствовал необходимость в большем количестве ячменя, я расширял свои поля.
As often as I felt the need of more barley, I made my fields larger.
Дальше было то, что я называл своим деревенским пристанищем.
farther away was what I called my country seat.
Мой приятный летний дом или беседка.
There was my pleasant summer house or bower.
Куда мне нравилось уходить отдохнуть.
Where I liked to go for rest.
В центре беседки.
In the middle of my bower.
Для меня всегда был установлен навес.
I had my tent always set.
Он был сделан из куска паруса, натянутого на колье.
It was made of a piece of sail spread over some poles.
Под навесом я устроил мягкую кушетку.
Under the tent I had made a soft couch.
Из шкур животных и одеяла, накинутого на них.
With the skins of animals and a blanket thrown over them.
Здесь я часто спал ночью при хорошей погоде.
Here, when the weather was fair, I often slept at night.
В некотором удалении от беседки было поле.
A little way from the bower was the field.
На котором я держал мой скот.
In which I kept my cattle.
Я приложил много труда, чтобы обнести забором и огородить это поле.
I had taken great pains to fence and enclose this field.
Я так боялся, как бы козы не вырвались наружу.
I was so fearful, lest the goats should break out.
Что я проработал много дней, высаживая живую изгородь вокруг.
That I worked many a day planting a hedge all around.
Живая изгородь выросла, чтобы стать крепкой, как стена.
The hedge grew to be very tall and was as strong as a wall.
На берегу моря,
On the shore of the sea.
на некотором расстоянии от моего летнего дома,
Some distance beyond my summer house.
был маленький вход, где я хранил мое каноэ.
Was the little inlet where I had laid up my canoe.
This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, visit LibriVox.org. Robinson Crusoe written anew for children by James Baldwin. I learned to bake and am prosperous. I have already told you about farming and of the difficulties under which I did my work. The thing which I wished to do most of all was to make good bread. I tried many plans, but it was several years before I could think of myself as a really good baker. My barley was very fine. The grains were large and smooth. When boiled a long time with a bit of goat's meat, they made good food. But they did not take the place of bread. Before bread could be made, the grains of barley must be ground into meal. I tried pounding them in a stone, but that was slow work. The stone crumbled into sand. My meal was worth nothing. I looked all over the island for a larger stone. All were alike. So at last I cut a large block of very hard wood. I rounded it on the outside with my hatchet. Then, partly by chopping, partly by burning, I made a hollow place in the end of it. Out of a piece of ironwood I made a heavy pestle or beater. I had now a very good little mill. In a short time I had crushed enough barley to make meal for a large loaf. It was easy to make the dough. I had only to mix the meal with water and knead it with my hands. I must not think of yeast to make the dough light. The baking part was the main thing and the hardest to learn. At first I put my biscuits of dough in the hot ashes and left them there until they were baked. But I did not like these ash cakes very well. Then I tried another plan. I made 2 large earthen vessels. They were broad and shallow. Each was about 2 feet across and not more than 9 inches deep. These I burned in the fire till they were as hard as rocks and as red as tiles. I made also a hearth before my fireplace and paved it with some square tiles of my own making, but perhaps I ought not to call them square. The hearth, when finished, was quite level and smooth. It was as pretty as I could have wished. Next I built a great fire of hardwood. When the wood had burned down, I raked the hot coals out upon my hearth. I left them there until the hearth was hot through and through. My loaves of dough were all ready. I swept the hearth clean and then put the loaves down upon the hottest part of it. Over each loaf I put one of the large earthen vessels I had made. Then I heaped hot coals on the top of the vessel and all round the sides of it. In a short time I lifted the vessels and took out my loaves. They were baked as well as the best oven in the world could have baked them. By trying and trying again, I at last learned to bake almost everything I wanted. I baked cakes and rice pudding fit for a king, but I did not care for pies. I now felt quite contented and prosperous, for did I not have everything that I needed? I had 2 homes on the island. I called them my plantations. The first of these was my strong castle under the rock. I had enlarged it until my cave contained many rooms, one opening into another. The largest and driest of these was my storeroom. Here I kept the largest of my earthen pots. Here also were 14 or 15 big baskets, all filled with grain. My sitting room was not large, but it was made for comfort. As for the wall in front of the castle, it was a wonderful thing. The long stakes which I had driven down had all taken root. They had grown like trees, and were now so big and so thick with branches that it was hard to see between them. No one passing by would ever think there was a house behind this matted row of trees. Near this dwelling of mine, but a little farther within the land, were my 2 barley fields. These I cultivated with care, and from them I reaped a good harvest. As often as I felt the need of more barley, I made the fields larger. Farther away was what I called my country seat. There was my pleasant summer house or bower, where I liked to go for rest. In the middle of my bower I had my tent always set. It was made of a piece of sail spread over some poles. Under the tent I had made a soft couch with the skins of animals and a blanket thrown over them. Here, when the weather was fair, I often slept at night. A little way from the bower was the field in which I kept my cattle, that is to say, my goats. I had taken great pains to fence and enclose this field. I was so fearful lest the goats should break out that I worked many a day planting a hedge all around. The hedge grew to be very tall and was as strong as a wall. On the shore of the sea, some distance beyond my summer house, was the little inlet where I had laid up my canoe.